All right. Hello, guys. It's Friday, which means another live stream with beautiful, amazing people, a lot of thought-provoking stuff. So let's now invite the guest of honor, which and get started. All right, great. Yay. You see what happens when we persevere, right? So, hello, Irina. Hello, everyone. First of all, let's talk about a few housekeeping questions. We're having a very interesting, prominent person here with us.
Thank you.
Someone who knows a lot about not just English but phonetics, because Irina actually practices what she preaches. We're gonna start with exactly, we're gonna talk about like where you come from, what you do, and then the topic itself. So, can you please, Irina, tell us about yourself a little bit?
All right. My name is Irina. Irina. I don't know what's correct. Somehow I got used to Irina because most Americans,
Mhm.
when I just came to the US, they would call me Irina. So just that's how
Right.
Now I go by both. Anyway, I'm from Moscow, but I studied in the US and I spent a decade over there. In the US and Canada. Right now, I'm in Scotland. That's a
Mm.
personal reason. But I keep teaching American pronunciation to mostly Russian speakers. I have a degree, an MA degree in linguistics, and I've done research in phonetics, and that was my pet subject from the beginning.
Hmm.
Uh, Now should I say that? I kind of have a school. It's so weird to say. I to instructors who work for me. I create pronunciation courses designed
Hmm.
specifically for speakers of Russian because you have to know the source language, you have to know how the source phonetics work, and then you can move on to the target accent. And that I think that's our kind of thing. We it's not okay. I can't say that. I have to say this. Most native speakers are going to give you advice, pronunciation advice, something like, you have to do this.
Hmm.
To pronounce this word, you have to do this. Uh, and what we do, we say, you usually do this,
Hmm.
and you have to fix it, and this is the way to fix it, and this is the result you want to get. Right? So it's a little bit different, and I think you get, results easier this way.
You know what? I gotta add on this for sure, because first of all, when I met you, I actually came across your profile a long time ago, a few times, and I was like, "All right, so Irene, whatever, yeah." And then you didn't, for some reason, associate with a Russian with, in my mind. When I look at you, I see this kind of epitome of an American girl, speaking this beautiful English. So in my mind, it never added up, first of all. Second of all, guys, I have to admit, for the first time in my life, I thought, I think this person can definitely tell me what things I can tweak about my pronunciation. So you were the first one, if you remember, who I contacted and said, Irina, I know I sound good, okay? And I'm not trying to show off, but just let me know what can be fixed and what is usually said and pronounced. Hence this request, And I was like, wow, cool. I didn't kind of notice it, before. So you got to help me a lot. You inspired me. And then I couldn't believe my eyes when you said, sure, Stan, let's stream. You know, I was like, yay, let's do it. So I know what you're talking about, and you can really do this well. So, guys, it's not a promotion even. Irina is someone who can be trusted. And in my book, she's one of those prominent phoneticians. All right.
Thank you so much. That's so nice of you, really. I really appreciate
I mean it. I mean it, really. All right, let's get to it. So, today's topic is quite a difficult one because, first of all, you can't cover it in just 1 hour and a half, even, right?
Oh,
Be-
yeah, we can talk forever, but we only
right,
have like roughly an hour and a half, so yeah.
exactly. And most importantly, we're going to be talking about learning English both in America, you, and in Russia, me. However, I think it begs a question. Have you tried both?
Oh,
Like,
or I mean, I think I'm trying both all the time, right? Because when I'm staying at home, I'm not talking to anyone. Uh, my husband who speaks Russian,
right.
Does it count as learning English out of the native?
Uh, I meant the environment, you know, like, did you actually start learning English seriously in Russia, you know, before you moved to America?
Kind. I mean, yes and no. So as everybody else, I went to school where I had English classes. I was not taking them seriously because that was like really low quality. I did have a tutor who was really cool, but I didn't get, that was pretty nice to talk about interesting things with him, right? But
Mm-hmm.
never got to the point where I could just, open my mouth and speak fluently. I could read something, right? I think I passed a qual exam for like, I at some point I applied for a Russian PhD in history. Never made it, but I passed the qual exam, right? So
Ah,
actually, they don't ask you to talk; they ask you to read something and translate it. And then
right.
I could do that, and I don't remember if I could use the dictionary. I probably could, but I didn't have much time. It's like, I mean, it was not what I wanted. And then, long story short, I had to apply to the university in the United States. You have to take a TOEFL exam, right? So we were getting to, there was a question which exams I had to take. I had to take a TOEFL exam.
Mm.
By the way, it's TOEFL. Most native speakers say TOEFL, and most Russian speakers say TOEFL, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
TOEFL. TOEFL. So TOEFL exam, which I find pretty reasonable, right? Because they really want to prepare you to the real life, the academic life,
Right.
right? Most of the time, you're going to get like academic topics for reading, some bits and pieces of lectures, some dialogues related to the academic life, like some student life on campus. Everything is around campus, right? And yeah, I had to take that. So that I think
Mm-hmm.
that was the way to measure how my English like is improving. So I went to the United States for the first time. That my boyfriend was there. He was admitted to UC Berkeley. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
to visit him, to like look around, maybe find a place for myself. And I was learning English from the street, from like, my housemates. I had 5 housemates who spoke English, and I spoke zero English when I came there. I couldn't
Mm-hmm.
say a word, and also the accent is
Mm-hmm.
different. It's not it. It's so not British. It's really weird. So I couldn't understand a thing when I came to,
Right.
and then I had a good reason because I wanted to stay there. I wanted to get a student visa to stay there for a long time. So yeah, I started learning it. Before coming there, I was trying to prepare myself for the TOEFL exam, but still, I
No.
came to the U.S. without the ability to understand and to say something fluently. Right. I could navigate like where is something or I'm flying there, right? But that's pretty much it.
Like, what are you mumbling? Yeah, just say it again. Yeah, like, slow down.
Oh my God. You can't ask people to slow down. They speak like that. That's the normal speed they usually
Right.
use, right? So yeah, that was a problem. But I improved like that. I improved like in a couple weeks I could already understand something. In a
Wow.
month I could actually speak, and people were complimenting me so much when they were saying, "Oh, it's been a month you came here, you couldn't speak, and now look at you." Right? I mean, I stopped getting those compliments at some point because uh, enough time passed.
Are
Uh,
you trying to say that the environment created this kind of environment that nudged you to speak some English after like a month? Or is it a good ear of English that you had? Like a good ear for languages?
no, no. I mean, a good ear. I really don't like that idea of having a talent for something, because I think your talent is where your interests lie.
Mm.
Right? If you're interested in something, you're gonna do it, and you're gonna do it a lot.
Hmm.
You're gonna allocate a lot of time just specifically for doing this. This is your talent. This
Right. This
is
is a
you're
good.
spending your time building that skill, right? And that's what a skill is. You have to spend that time doing this. And I had a good reason because I lived with native speakers, and I had to talk to them, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can't just live with them without any communication. So yeah, I had to do that, and so partially, kudos to my boyfriend, who's my husband now, who actually, it was his idea to rent something with a lot of other people,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because he was not fluent either, and it helped both of us, so we could learn from the housemates.
So
And
he also didn't speak a word of English.
huh?
He also didn't speak a word of English before we moved.
No, he was much better. He was already accepted, right? So he was already a student. But I think it was kind of, his English was kind of artificial,
Mm-hmm.
right? Not very natural. And I don't think he was fluent. He was having a hard time. He was struggling with just colloquial,
Mm-hmm.
like ubiquitous stuff. He could talk about science, right? He was giving talks in English, but that's different. That's a different thing. First,
Yeah.
it's staged, right? You practice. You know everything you want to say beforehand. And yeah, when it's just a one-on-one conversation or a group conversation, right? Oh my God, that's that's much harder, right?
And
'Cause,
different accents, right? Sometimes.
it's accents and it's the fluency, right? How fast everything is going. You're thinking what you want to say, and it's already too late,
Mm-hmm.
right? The convo is really way ahead of you. So that was a great idea to rent something with a lot of people. It's like a communal flat, right? So you have
Mm-hmm.
downsides of that. We had only one bathroom for 7 people, including me. One bathroom, 7 people. Oh my God.
Not bad.
Yeah, and the house was really crappy. It was so old. I think they've never remodeled it, like ever, and it was built in 1917. I remember that.
Mm. 1917, so more
Yeah.
than 100 years now.
Now it's more than 100. Yeah, back then it was like a little bit less because it was 2011, 2012 when we lived there.
Oh, well, so again, an interesting thing to mention. So you moved to America in
Yeah.
your 20s. In what year? Like 2010, you said?
Just so the first time I came there, I was not a student yet. It was 2011, and I was
Mm-hmm.
23, something like that. I think.
Mm-hmm.
Three.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
But
I was a grown-up person already.
you took it right out of my mouth. You see, so the point is, you came there being very much conscious of who you are, where you are, speaking obviously Russian language as a native speaker, not knowing anything about English, however, nudged to speak English. You see, so that's the thing. But again, I definitely have to agree with you on this kind of not exactly having an ear for languages, but having the, I would say, without any overstatement, sheer doggedness, like you start doing this and unbridled passion, right? Like you have to be
I
very.
have passion. I think I mostly had a fear that I'm gonna be super dependent on my boyfriend who spoke Russian, the only person who spoke Russian out there. And yeah, I think that was the fear that drove me.
Mm, unbridled fear, then. Yeah, you had.
Yeah,
Yeah, in a way.
like
So
that.
listen, it's actually a very good beginning for our storytelling thing, yeah, because we have questions related to your studies, like when you just were starting out, right, as a learner and as a future teacher and a very, very good phonetician. Anastasia asks a few questions. She says, first of all, how did you apply to your university? What exams did you have to take? You did say TOEFL,
Yeah,
right?
so
You can't just come casually, like into the room and say, "I want to study." You have to do something, right?
oh
So,
yeah. Yeah, you have to be very persistent. You have to write a couple of statements, a statement of purpose, and something else. I think these days they ask in California, no, not just in California anymore. I think now everywhere in the US, they're going to ask to write you a diversity statement.
what is that?
How you're going to make, it's a letter about how you're going to make this community diverse, right? And if you're an international student, that's a blessing for you because you can say, hey, I'm from, that's my culture. So I'm gonna, yeah,
That
definitely more diverse. yeah, so you have to talk about women rights and you know, black people rights and you know, all sorts of things. So it's that, and yeah, why you want to study. That's a separate document.
Hmm.
Also, what else did I do? You need recommendation letters.
Right.
That's an issue for people from Russia because we don't have this culture, right, of writing recommendation letters. And you're going to be lucky if your professor is going to tell you, oh, you write this thing, I'm going to sign it.
Right.
Right? So most of the time you're going to have to write it yourself. So yeah, I kind of had to do that. And most Russian professors it's going to be hard for them to write a long letter in English, right? It's like at least one page. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I did that. I think I needed 2 letters, but most of the time you need 3 in the United States. Here in Great Britain, you need 2. But the US is the country of recommendation letters.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's so important. And what else? I think that's it. I remember how I went to the university campus where I was applying to talk to the program coordinator,
Mm.
and
Mhm.
that was really scary because I was not sure that my English was going to be good enough.
Interesting question, by the way. So, how many years passed before you applied to uni? I mean,
Uh,
you can't
uh,
just do this from when you have a smattering of English, right?
like 1 year, I guess.
Mm.
Like a year, yeah. When my husband taught that, learned that he was going to the US, it was February, I think, or January, something like that, like early 2011. In
Right.
fall, he already went there, uh, and yeah, and it's in late September. I came to visit him for a couple of months, and I was applying at the time, and then
Uh-huh.
I applied, and there was another opportunity to apply in spring. In May, I was accepted.
All right. Obviously, the financial kind of part of this is also supposed to be there, right? Like you can't get there for free, can you?
No, if it's just an MA, it's very rare for the United States to pay
Hmm.
this. I know actually a person who managed to do that, and that's one of my instructors, Xenia. Most people know her, English Xenia. She's awesome. She's so amazing. She went there, Fort Collins. Is it the Colorado University that is located in Fort Collins? She rushed back home after 2 months. Just because, it's a good program, but it's
Hmm.
mostly for people who just starting out. And she's been a teacher for a decade, so I mean, she's much more than that.
Yeah. And easy. Meanwhile, you said that it was like 2010, 11. Meanwhile, as you can well imagine, I come from Russia. I've always lived in Russia. So what I had to do was to take this YEGA exam, Russian state exam in
Oh
English,
yeah,
and also apply to uni because I actually finished school in 2011. And I kind of thought, you know what, I think language is like, my passion. I want to do it. I want to like pursue it. And unfortunately, I didn't have, time and like, finances to travel at that time. So I thought, what if I create my own environment? You see? So I just decided to actually allocate, native speakers around me and learn from, movies and just, like a lot of shadowing, which we'll talk about today, by the way, and
yeah,
pick up a post that you made yesterday on this one.
yeah.
And then, it was easy actually to get into uni, you know, unlike you, because, at that time it wasn't too expensive, even though I did this scholarship studies, I had to just pass YEGA, the Russian state exam. And I think I did 83 out of 100, it
No,
was all right. Yeah. And I was like, I don't know. If I don't get in, I can't study, on this fee-paying program. I'll have to join the army, because at that time it was that difficult. My family told me, I'm
is it still there? Do people are they threatening?
giving, yeah, they serve, right. You see? So I was lucky enough. I should definitely thank my lucky stars, and I got there. But again, it was easy. I just had to have this idea in mind and just, work through a little bit of rigmarole is all. you know. However, um, also, one of the questions was, did you have any private tutors that could help you tutor either in English at that time or in the program, you're going to study?
All right. I did have a one tutor, and I hired her for months
Mm-hmm.
because I couldn't pass the writing session with the right score. Because I needed something like 24 out of 30, and I was getting 21, 22, but that was a requirement of the program.
Right.
So yeah, I had 8 classes exactly with that person, and I
Mm.
passed
In general.
at 26, I think. Yeah, so she was great. She just gave me the right advice, and I did it. I pulled it off.
Mm-hmm. So it was mostly about the format, yeah, how to go around it.
Yeah,
Right.
the writing, there is a structure you have to follow.
Right.
And she gave me tips like how, like, which words I have to use to be more fancy, to use, which academic vocab I have to use. So yeah, that was not really that. I mean, otherwise, I was just practicing the tests, and I think the most difficult thing in that test is the speaking section, and it's not because you can speak. Even if you can speak, you're given a task like, um, talk about your favorite holiday in your country, 50 seconds to prepare, 45 seconds to reply. And you're like, what
In
holiday? Any
academia.
holidays? So
Uh,
yeah, you have to practice that a lot just to
sure.
know what you want to say.
So you did full studies, right? It was like day studies, yeah, like we say, ochka, right?
Oh yes.
Yeah. So
Yeah, but it's different. Ochka. So in Russian, ochka means that you can't do anything else, right? You're gonna go to your classes every day, um, and you're gonna be taking, like, I don't remember how many I was taking per semester in Russia, but it was something around 10 or 12, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's insane. I was taking 3 classes per semester, and that was enough, right? Because you have to read a whole book each week for each class. Uh, yeah. So in total, how many classes did I have in total? 3 years of classes, right? Points three, something like that. I think I was skipping some of the semesters. Sometimes I was taking 2 classes. Yeah, but it's a lot of work. It's a different mode. You're
And
really doing something. It's not like in Russia, you're just in the class. You're just sitting there, and then you just pass, right? And you get this автомат, right? It's not a thing in the US.
yeah, like you have to really work hard, yeah, get those credits to complete a semester, right?
Yeah, so there are no exams. It was a grad program, and there are no, there's no sessia like
Mm-hmm.
we have in Russia, but there are term papers. And for each class, you're supposed to write like a mini research,
Mm-hmm.
and they give you a timeline. They give you all the deadlines when you're supposed to pick the topic, discuss with your advisor, maybe tweak, a little bit to make it more manageable, to make it like not too narrow, not too broad, to, just fit, the Goldilocks measurements, right? And then, yeah, there's a like hard deadline. You're supposed to submit your paper. If you didn't do that, too bad. You're late. Goodbye. So that was scary.
Unlike in Russia, you can like either buy your way into your fifth year or just, kind of.
Walk your way
Yeah,
through. You're
yeah.
like, oh, please, please, please. My cat just died, right? And yeah,
No excuses.
condolences.
No excuses. By the way, before we continue, we also have a question. And please, guys, share your own experiences too. Have you ever been to America? Have you ever tried studying outside of Russia? If you come from Russia, just let us know, all right? You can leave pluses. Anastasia asks, Irina, were there any university clubs or brotherhoods or sisterhoods, not sure what they're called, with all these initiation ceremonies and trials?
No, 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 no. I mean, I'm too old for that. I was already too old for that. Yeah, it's called Greek life in the US. I don't know if they have it here in Great Britain. Uh, they should, right? I don't know. Anyway, in the US, they do have this Greek life, and I think you become a member of a fraternity or a sorority. This is what they call um, but I think that's for bonding with your classmates, so that in the future you're gonna have someone with with a mutual um, history. Right. I don't know why, but somehow grad students don't. They didn't do that in my program, and I
Oh,
think it's mostly for undergrads, and with all those ceremonies and like really crazy stuff, actually.
so you were just study buddies. You could go and research stuff, but you never like went out.
I had some classmates I could
Mm-hmm.
do research with. That was great. We could talk about phonetics all the time. I had one who he was really keen on phonetics, so we were
Mm-hmm.
spending days together talking about that.
And you were obviously studying general American phonetics. Let's say that. Put it.
No, that
Yeah.
it's not general American. So when if you go any phonetician, any people, any linguists here who have taken phonetics in Russia, because I have taken a class in
Mm-hmm.
phonetics in Russia. That was just before I went to the US. I went to the Higher School of Economics. Just I had a friend who recommended me to ask them if I could just audit the class. To
Mm-hmm.
guys know it's like when you're sitting in, right,
Mm-hmm. Serving.
auditing. So yeah, I was auditing the phonetics class, and yes, they give you examples from your own language when you're just starting out. And that was the case in the US. They were giving us examples from the American English, but it was not just, there is no, I mean, general English, general American, it's not, there's no such thing. It's not an accent,
Mm-hmm.
right? There is an accent in California, an accent in Indiana, right? An accent in whatever, in New York. And there is some, like, it's an umbrella of accents that we study as non-native speakers just to sound somewhat American.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and, there, even here, there is already a distinction between West Coast and East Coast, right? Because all, right? Dog or dog, that's East-West thing, right?
Right.
So it's already a difference between two coasts, and there are so many more, and there was subtle than in Great Britain, because here, you're driving for half an hour and the accent is different. Not in the US, right? You're going to be, if you speak with a general American accent, you're going to understand pretty much anyone, except in the South, it's slightly different, right? But yeah, anyway, so we were taking, we were discussing Californian accent, for example, and it actually, there is a specific Californian accent. Um, and there's Southern Californian and Northern Californian. And of course, we were talking about other languages, because not all phonetic, not all possible sounds are represented in English.
Mm-hmm.
So many more. So we had to talk about Chinese, Mandarin, Cantonese tones, right? And weird sounds like a lateral fricative in Mongolian, which is like a
Wow.
demonstrate. This is lateral fricative.
Wow. You have to pronounce it while talking. Wow.
So that's the sound, like that's a real sound of speech in Mongolian. So for example, it means to blow.
Mm-hmm.
It's beautiful because it's really
But it
long.
doesn't sound like you're blowing.
Yeah.
Wow, that is interesting. So you were studying the idea of phonetics, yeah, in different languages, like
Yeah.
both in American English and also in many different accents and varieties and languages.
Yeah, we
Right?
covered all possible phenomena. Maybe not all, but all, you know, frequent phenomena that are found
Hmm.
in world languages.
Would you say that it actually gave you a lot of knowledge and you could take away a lot? Or was it mostly about your awareness, passion, determination, sheer doggedness, the ones
No,
that we.
it's both. It's both. I had, so when I was just starting, I had to take classes in SF State. That's my home university. And then I lived in Berkeley. The
Hmm.
Berkeley campus was next door. I lived across the street. So I thought, why don't I go there and ask them if I can audit their classes? Uh, and I found this phonetician, Keith Johnson, who actually he wrote a textbook. He's one of the co-authors of the textbook that is used in the U.S. as like Bible. I didn't know that. you know,
Out.
it's better to say I had known that when I came there and asked him if I could audit his class. He said, "Of course," but there is this exchange program. And I said, "Oh, exchange program? What does that mean?" And he said, "You can, if as a SF State student, you can apply and get accepted, and go to classes with other UC Berkeley students.
Wow.
Credit. So your homeworks are going to be graded, and you're going to submit your final paper. But you're not allowed to do that before year 2." And I did that. And I went to UC Berkeley, and I was a student with other UC Berkeley students taking phonetics classes. I took two. I took the general phonetics and the experimental phonetics. So I took 2 classes there. And I mean, it's both, right? I was really, by that point, I was really keen on phonetics. And also at the same time, I was hearing around all the phenomena we were discussing in the class, right?
Hmm.
So that was really cool when you learn something and then you hear it from your mate.
24/7.
Yeah,
Wow.
that was really cool, right? I think when you're trying to improve your accent, listening is not everything you need to do, but you have to listen a lot just to start noticing things. But
Sure.
you need to know what you want to notice.
But it's not just about that. It's
It's not
about.
just, you're listening and somehow it penetrates your brain and it's there. No, you have to know exactly. Like, for example, you hear the word cool, you're trying to do shadowing. It's just my story. So I was trying to do shadowing. The word cool, or no, that was the word tool. The word tool. And how would I pronounce tool before that? Like tool, right?
Ooh.
Uh, and then when you start listening closely, oh, it's not tool, it's tool.
Hmm.
What the heck? And then you're reading about it and like, okay, they actually connect this ooh with the L through the w, right?
Hmm.
Tool. That's how it's pronounced. And then you remember, right? And then you're going to start noticing that in other words, school and cool and I don't know, any other.
Liaisons, by the way, yeah, is something that we sometimes overlook, right? When we read those, when we can like wrap our head around a phrase or a word, but when we start speaking, we forget that they are all connected, and sometimes they interconnect, and sometimes they don't sound the way we think they sound, especially in those phonemic symbols. Remember that talk we had, yeah, about the word fairy, right?
Yeah, I mean, if they're not. Yeah, the problem with those symbols is they're phonemic. There is no way around it because you have to use that way
Hmm.
writing dictionaries because otherwise you're going to have to cover all possible accents and you're not going to do that ever. But it's just like ideas of sounds in those words, but in each dialect there going to be something else, right? And also, you know, if it's connected, then something might happen. For example, the flap T that occurs on word borders all the
Right.
time. For example, oral.
Mm-hmm.
No one will spell it. No one will write the transcription with the flap T in the word at, right? But this is what you hear when you hear it all, or it is.
Agreed. Or even pretty, like within the word.
Oh, pretty. The Cambridge Dictionary is going to give you this flap T with a little check mark. The Oxford Dictionary, the one, you know, when you Google something like something definition, that's the Oxford. If you said it right, you're going to have the American Dictionary, and it, for some reason they chose the D symbol,
Mm-hmm.
but they do recognize it as a feature of the American accent. And it's not a
Mm-hmm.
phoneme, actually, right? It's just a way to say T, to
Right.
pronounce T, the t sound. But it's so frequent, right?
So to get it right, what you're saying is this transcription, so-called transcription or phonemic symbols, are just ideas of sounds,
Mm-hmm.
not sounds personified, right? You have to like wrap your head around them and make sure that you come across them in speech while shadowing, while breaking.
I say that it's first, if you're talking about connected speech, yes, you have to come across them in connected speech.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you just need to know the phonetic rule. For example, the word men versus the word man.
Mm-hmm.
The phonemic symbol is the ash, right? The butterfly thing.
Right.
But you're not going to hear that from native speakers. From native speakers of American English, they're going to say man,
Mm-hmm.
man, man versus men. The difference is so subtle, and that's so confusing because you see that ass symbol and you think it should sound with a, you know, you should pronounce it with a wide mouth wide open. Nope. Native speakers don't do that. And you have to know that this occurs just before m and n, right? Once you
Mm-hmm.
learn that, it's going to be much easier for you to read the transcription because you just, you know, okay, I will just do instead of the
Exactly. And it's never explicitly taught in phonetics classes, never, because it's
No.
like what, especially if you're trying to learn your way around British English, they would say, all right, so here's the ah sound. It's different from American, right? Obviously, it's like ah, like man, not like man. Yeah. So, and then what you do is you just drop your jaw, your tongue is in this position. That's what they tell you. And then I remember when I was taught phonetics, we were studying British, English.
Yeah.
I was like, our teacher, she was really good, don't get me wrong. But again, we were trying to kind of get into this one size fits all cookie thing, cookie cutter.
Yeah.
And was trying to say, all right, so find an Adam's apple. What about girls? Okay. And then put it here. And when you say ah, it's supposed to drop up until here. And I mean, well, it depends, right? And again, it depends on what accent you're trying to mimic.
Yeah, but I think that tip is good for just starting out for practicing because you're not going to open the jaw as wide if you're not thinking about that. If
Right.
you're a speaker, we don't have that wide right? Although we do, we kind of do actually. Did you know that we do have that sound in words like match?
Match,
That
match.
you don't match, but no one say match, right?
Yeah,
Match,
yeah,
match, match, match,
right, right.
match,
No,
match,
it's different.
match.
Yeah.
They're somewhat similar, so it's easier if you can think about it this way, and you think of, okay, I'm just gonna take this match, right? You just get rid of the softened Russians in the Russian sense, palatalized consonants, and you get somewhat the American version of
Mm.
the word match,
Hmm. But
match.
still. with the American it's mostly like yeah. So you have to kind of work your jaw a little bit, yeah, not just drop it, especially in words like man, right?
Man,
It depends.
man. Uh, for yes, your lip corners are engaged. You
Mm-hmm.
have to work here a little bit. For I don't think that much. It's not a tense sound. Ma, just relax.
Mm-hmm.
Ma.
Mm-hmm.
It's not easy because we these muscles are pretty tense usually because we chew, we talk a lot, and it's somehow tense, more tense than you want them to be.
Right. Right. By the way, two quick question I think it begs. First of all, some people really believe that since we're like, speakers of different languages, we have a bit of a difference in terms of the speech apparatus, which I think is not exactly correct. I mean, we have the same.
Same
Yeah.
speech is different. No, I mean, we're human, right?
Right.
We all
Right.
have, yeah, all the speech organs are there.
Right. But the only
They're very much alike. They're not exactly the same. Everyone has their own, instrument tool. But yeah, they're
So
similar.
you set up with the positioning of the tongue in its resting position or anything, but it's definitely the same, right? We're all humans after all. And second of all, since you're now based in Wales, which is Great Britain is a patchwork of accents, right? I think it's even more profound accents wise than America. It means
Oh, big
that you're
time.
like, what's happening around me? We're Americans, fellas, where are you? Yeah. So what are you doing about that? How are you adapting?
Oh, I pretend.
Pretend to do what? To speak the way.
Uh, Sometimes I have to pretend I understand. It's hard. It's hard. Here in Scotland, so I've been here since what, June, and before that, I spent there. I spent like 8 months here or 9 months before. So I'm kind of okay with. There is no such term, general Scottish accent. It's not. It's like there is not even a term. But if it were, I would say that I kind of understand the general Scottish. I mean, there is some somewhat homogenous way of speaking in Edinburgh, but it also depends on the class and the district. I'm in the posh district right now,
Oh.
and what I hear is more. It's kind of a British accent, the classic British accent. What we think when we
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
with the Scottish touch. For example, they only have one oo sound. So food and good,
Are the same.
yes, the same vowel.
How do you like it?
Oh, those British people, they have interesting ways of pronouncing that ooh, right? They have two ways to say ooh. They only have one, right, in Scotland. So it's that, and if you go to their, like, you just walk 30 minutes, you're gonna hear some more like working class accent, and that's different. They roll their R's, for example, right? Very.
Yeah, but it's very. It's not very, right?
No,
So.
very, very. They rolled.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Rolling is doing right this. Um, right. So yeah, I especially if you have to talk on the phone, and they really like talking on the phone. They hate emails. They really want you to call in and ask whatever you want. So that's difficult. I have to talk myself into it every time I have, pick up the phone and actually talk to someone. Um, yeah, other people, there's so many accents, right? Even here in Edinburgh, it's so diverse. There are so many people from other regions and from parts of England. So sometimes, I mean, the other day I went to the store. I asked about the shoes, like what the sole, right? I was interested how the sole is gonna
Mm-hmm.
wear out quickly, and I have no idea. She had a monologue for like 2 minutes. I have no idea what she told me.
I mean, what is going through your head? at this time when you're like having a bit of a snag when it comes to speaking to those locals? Are you like, it takes time to get used to, just give me time, I'm going to tune my ear to it, I know that I'm here for some time, I have to adapt? Or are you like frustrated?
No, I'm not frustrated. I mean, I got used to it. I'm so experienced with different sounds. I can make them all, right? When I was taking the phonetics classes, I had to take the IPA exam. And
Mhm.
it means that you're given the scientific term and you're supposed to demonstrate how the sound is pronounced.
Mm.
There are how many characters? 100 and 108, I guess.
Oh,
Yeah.
a bit of a jam. By the way, one of the comments is the Scottish accent is amazing and intimidating at the same time in terms of understanding, but recognizable sounds. Really, when I hear the Scottish accent on TV or in the X Factor, this is where I learned my, kind of way around English accents. It can be really recognized. Would you say that it sounds a little bit like this stereotypical English speech coming out of a Russian?
A little bit, I would say. Yeah, it sounds somewhat. It reminds me of the Russian accent because of the rolled R.
Mm-hmm.
But otherwise, they have a lot of vowels. We don't,
Mm-hmm.
and we do have the U vowel, and they don't.
Right.
But we do have like 6 stressed vowels in Russian, and it's not too many. And in English, there are how many? I don't know. I don't know how many there are there in the Scottish accent.
Mm.
Something around 14, 15, maybe 21 if you count all the like triphthongs. I don't think triphthongs are that's a good idea. You know, it's not a good name and it's not a good concept.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, some people do count them.
Do
Anyway,
they take you for an American?
pardon?
Do they take you for an American? They're like, oh, you
They
might.
do. Oh yes, all the time, all the time. I mean, that's all right. Most British people will think I'm from the U.S. Even if I say something wrong with the American accent. They are not. You don't. They don't really know. It sounds somewhat American to them, so they automatically think,
Yeah.
okay, we don't care.
But you do sound American. I actually have a few native speakers in my neck of the woods, and I showed them your videos. They're like, she's native. I'm like, really?
Oh, nice.
Think. And they're like, no, I can't quite put my finger on it. I'm like, yeah, because she tried that hard, you know, and because she's a class act. So you see,
Yeah,
not.
so I don't really want to say that like I sound American 100% of the time. Not really. There might be a slip of the tongue. There might be something awkward I say that doesn't sound English just because of the whatever grammar error
Mhm.
or wrong lexical choice, whatever. That happens all the time with all non-native speakers. So um, yeah, but I can
But
pretend for some time.
no, you don't have to pretend. That's what is oozing out of you, you know? That's what I see about you, at least me, you know? And I hold you in high regard. By the way, in Russian, in Russian terms, we have this term called intenционный рисунок. First of all, what's the English for it if you have this term? And second of all, that's what I think helps to understand whether a person really knows their way around the accent. So, do you have this term in English?
Intonation patterns, you mean?
Like, for example, when you listen to a person, you're like, oh, wow, she speaks really well. I can hear that some nativeness,
Yeah, yeah, got it. So that's the intonation patterns. This рисунок, I think it stands for pattern here. Uh, it's a it's a part of something. A pattern is a part of something that is repeated many times.
Right.
That you will repeatedly hear.
Yeah,
For
that.
example, the way of asking a question, a general question in American, in the most American dialects, you're gonna go down and up. Like, do you like it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, do you like it? Like, mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you will go down and up. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And British English is most of the time I hear the opposite. Mm-mm. Do you
Mm-hmm.
like it? Right? Did you go there? there? Did you go there?
Yeah, did you go there? Yeah.
Yeah, did
I
you go
love
there? Yeah, and they will go a little bit up at the end, at the very end. That's very common here.
Yeah, but it depends because my friends in Australia, they always, rise their intonation when it comes to even making statements. They would say, "I like it. That's really cool." You know?
Oh yeah, that's up talk or up speak or um, high rising terminal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's. I wouldn't say that it's a problem, but a lot of people think it is
Mm-hmm.
because you sound like you're questioning yourself all the time. And I think just don't overuse it, but use it away.
Mm-hmm.
You want to sound more friendly, you're going to do that. Exactly.
Exactly.
Like my
But
name is Irina. I was born in Russia. I got my MA degree in linguistics, right? Even if you're not listing things, you can do that.
right, right. Definitely. So context means everything. It's king. So it raises one more question before we move on to the next question you guys sent us. By the way, thank you so much, guys, for sending the questions. Also, let us know in the comment section which variety or which English do you prefer most? British, American, Australian, and which one you're trying to speak. All right, already mastered, like Irina. So the question is, would you say, as a phonetician, that when you start screening people at your consultations, yeah, that the intonation patterns are the ones that give away our Russianness or whatever that could be? Or are those vowels mostly consonants?
Mm, both. Intonation patterns, yes, for sure. And I really like to start from the general shape of the accent rather
Mhm.
than individual segments, because it structures your speech. And yeah, somehow people, if you speak with the right intonation, you're going to be understood better, and people are going to perceive your message better. So yeah, and definitely there are some Russian intonation patterns that a
Mhm.
lot of people speak like this when they speak.
Right.
I mean, I have to do it all, right? If I want to imitate the Russian accent, I will have to like go the whole hog.
Yeah, but at the same time, people are okay with speaking like that. I speak my English is fluent, so what's the problem? How would you explain that? Is it okay to speak like that, or do you have to neutralize your accent at least?
Is
Yeah?
it okay for you? Is it okay for you to speak like that? If it's
No.
okay for you, if you are understood, if your colleagues never ask you to repeat yourself, then yes, go with it.
I
Uh,
think people are gonna now unfollow us. Like, guys, are you really practicing what you're preaching? Yeah. My question is as follows, and I actually got this question too. We live obviously in an infinite amount of choices, yeah, like unfettered access to the internet, so much information, so many class acts like you, but we still can't wrap our heads around the fact that it's important to like take the best, learn from the best, and make sure that you stick to one thing. So the question is, yeah, Irina, we can't beat you, right? one of the comments. And the problem is, some of us think that to be a good teacher, you're supposed to speak very good English pronunciation wise. So the question is, what is this good English? Is it a neutralized version? Is it a pleasant way of sounding? Is it a native-like version? Is there one? And which one do you teach?
I really don't like this native-like idea. You don't have to sound like a native speaker unless you are a spy you want to hide.
Mhm.
And I don't know any spies, or maybe I know that I know them. Uh,
Maybe you're one.
huh?
Maybe you're one.
Could be one probably. Yeah, as a linguist, there is a category of jobs I could take on as a linguist in the U.S., but you have to physically be there.
Mhm.
And I mean, I'm not doing that. I'm not going to
Right.
deal with that stuff. Um, anyway, yes. So, what's neutral? Um, I think what is really important for you as a teacher, if you're a teacher, first off, sort it out with the phonemes. You
Mhm.
have to know A from E, right? U from O, E from A, right? What else? I forgot one. There's another one. Which one?
Like even
A and right? There's another like
and
cop.
then and right? Because sometimes we just like say it the same way, right? Like we don't differentiate man, men, right?
Yeah. So that one is important for you as a teacher because you want to teach your students how to tell the difference between man and man. God damn
Right,
it. Right? It's really important for them to know the difference. And
right,
you teach the real way, how people really say that. It's not about the transcription, it's about the real sounds. So it's that. Also connected speech is really important because okay, you are not going to always find exact same phenomena in every instance. For example, I got you, right? You can hear that, or I got you. That's okay. Sometimes people say that without the fusion,
sure.
right? It's fusion. It's not assimilation, by the way, guys. It's not assimilation, it's fusion. Because assimilation is a different thing. And a lot of teachers just, they overuse the word assimilation, and it's just different concept. So you have to know what might occur.
Right,
You have to know the way to talk about it. And of course, if we're talking about the connected speech, it's good if you use it once in a while. So you challenge your students. You don't speak like that for them to understand you easier. Because, when they're going to hear the real native speaker, they're not going to understand a word.
right.
And it's going to be your problem, right? Because it's not the lack of result. A person doesn't understand spoken English after classes. So you have to touch upon that a little bit, maybe not every time, maybe not in every class, but just allocate some time to the sound part of English.
By the way, we have to pick up on it. What is the difference between fusion and assimilation?
Okay. So I'm trying to find a good example. Okay, assimilation. For example, I'm just trying to find a good.
Yeah, sure, take your time.
Okay, assimilation. For example, when you say in that, you don't say in
Yeah.
that. You say in that, in that. The n sound assimilated to the the, and you don't have to do it twice. You just put the tongue on the teeth once, and you get both sounds, right? Both sounds. You see, that's
why would you say both sounds? Yeah, it's like stands in the way. So that's what assimilation is.
both. Yeah. So it's not a clear S anymore. You don't say both sound. No, both sounds. Both sounds. Yeah. So that's an assimilation. And fusion. When you say gotcha, there is no t anymore.
How about street? Frustrated. Frustrated.
Frustrated.
Is it fusion?
That's not fusion, that's assimilation. Because you still have that t sound, where the phoneme is still there. It's just pronounced in a slightly different manner. When we're talking about fusion, we both sounds kind of sacrifice themselves to get the ch. We don't have t and y anymore. We have a brand new sound that stands for both.
Yeah. Is it safe to say that it's pretty much the same as when we say здравствуйте instead of здравствуйте?
Oh, that's a different, there's so many phonetic things.
Because we're looking for examples in our own language to understand that. You see, so it gets better then.
Okay, so a good example of assimilation in Russian, when you say, for example, дочь друга. Say that quickly. Say that.
Дочь друга, дочь друга.
Do you say дочь or something else?
Дочь друга, дочь друга.
Say quickly. Дочь друга.
It's not the clear ch.
Yeah.
if I would say Dutch, yeah, but
Yeah.
Dutch druga, yeah, it changes a bit, right? It does
Yeah.
in like fast speech.
You voice your ch, and this is assimilation because it's a regressive assimilation in Russian. We have a lot of that. The adjacent sound, the next sound is voiced. So you assimilate your ch
Mm-hmm.
to make it more fluent, right? To make it easier to just to, because you anticipate the sounds. Your actually your speech apparatus anticipates what's coming and getting ready beforehand.
Exactly. We have those fusions assimilations too, like вовторник. We don't say вовторник, right? We say вав. Yeah. It also
Yeah.
changes.
Dornik, by the way, is another example of assimilation because we spell it with a v, and clearly the origin, the etymology of the word is related to the like number two,
Mhm.
but we don't say вторник,
Yeah, and
вторник. A
вовторник.
lot of, by the way, a lot of non-native speakers will make this error. They will say вторник, второй. They will try to read the letters.
Mm.
Right,
Mhm.
and this is exactly what we do when we see English letters.
Right, right, exactly. We take them at face value, like, oh, I have this sound. It's in between M and A, M and N, yeah, and like, yeah, I have to say it that way. But what you have to do, like, your best bet is to listen out for patterns and make sure that, as you told me as well, like, study the word pairs, study the word combinations. Just try to find like patterns, yeah, and go from
Patience.
exactly. By the way, one more question from Igor. Igor, by the way, he also did a linguistics major,
Oh,
but
nice.
in Russia. But as far as I know, he has been to Ireland. So he's asking, at uni, we used to have terms like full assimilation and partial assimilation. Not sure about the translation. Is it not the same as the fusion assimilation difference? Full
I'm
assimilation?
not sure. I'm not sure about, it's really difficult to compare the terminology
Mm-hmm.
across because there might be something that differs even in the UK and the USA. Because when I was talking to phoneticians here in the UK, and they don't say fusion. They say yacht coalescence.
Mm-hmm.
And they were making fun of me because I would say fusion and say, oh, say it's right. It's coalescence. But Americans say fusion. Come on, I'm from America.
Yeah, yeah. Like, don't devalue, yeah, the terms we came up with.
They probably think, oh, those Americans. They
Well,
don't know a thing.
it's the same with when you had this video with Ina where you talked about like, do you carry eggs? Yeah. And when you came to live to Britain, they were
Oh,
like,
that's ridiculous. They don't say carry. They don't say carry here. Like carry meaning if anyone is interested to carry the American one of the American meanings is to sell something in general at the store, right? Do you have that at all ever? Like in your little fruit shop, do you have eggs? Right? That's what I wanted to say. And I said,
exactly.
"Do you have eggs?" And you can carry eggs, but we sell eggs here.
Yeah, exactly. So you were both confused, like, what? Like, that's what I meant, right? Yeah. So he even made fun of you, right?
Oh yeah.
Like, we can carry them, but we don't carry them ourselves. Here comes the next question that has a lot to do with what you were just talking about. Anastasia, a university teacher, okay, asks, English is a lingua franca. Yeah, obviously. Millions of people speak it. So is it that necessary to master proper British or American pronunciation if we talk not about teachers, but people from whom it is just a tool of communication? Talk about a serious question.
It depends on your goals. It depends what do you want from your English? Do you want to be an actor? Then definitely. You do need to actually you need a few accents.
Mm-hmm.
If you are if you okay, you work I hate that. Call centers
Mm-hmm.
where people speak with whatever they can. And that's my problem because sometimes I don't understand what they say, and that's their job to be clear. So yeah, if you want to do that, if your job is somehow if it's related to speaking in any sense, please do study something. You don't have to sound like a native speaker, but just try to be clear, right? Try to make it clear for other people. Just respectful, right? What else? If you're a lawyer, definitely, right? Because that's about the bonding with your client, and
Right.
I think that's important. One of my clients is a lawyer who is
Mm-hmm.
in Canada, and her English is impeccable. She is amazing, and her accent is very close to what we think when we think about the American accent, or Canadian. It's very close, right? The difference between Canadian and American is very subtle. But she still wanted to, she took the diagnostic analysis, she took the vowels course, because she wanted to make it even better, to make it perfect. And she told me she was just one foreigner in that law firm.
Mm-hmm. So what you're trying to do is you're not trying to help people sound native, but what you're trying to do is you're trying to help to neutralize them, to neutralize the accent, or help sound either eloquent or clear, yeah, or understandable. Right.
Clarity comes first, I would say that. Then it depends on the goal. Do you want to sound like a native speaker? Are you sure you want to sound do you really need that? It's really important, because if you just want to sound like a native speaker because it's cool, you might not get there. If you want to sound like a native speaker because it's essential for your job, you might actually pull it off, because you have more motivation rather than just impressing other people, right?
Exactly. And also, what native speaker do you want to look up to, yeah, and sound like? It.
Oh yeah, then you have to choose your role model, right? Because otherwise, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to copy.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone has their own way of speaking, right? So, you can shadow after one specific actor, and it's going to be good if you find interviews with that person where they speak spontaneously, because otherwise it's going to be staged and you're not sure. It's not natural sometimes when it's a movie.
Right. Right. By the way, I have heard this kind of theory that it is important if you're a man to find a male role model when it comes to shadowing or working on your pronunciation. If you're a woman, female. Is it true? Because of some differences in terms of how we like intonate our speech, you know?
I would advise to go with your gender, whatever your gender is, whatever you identify with. We have so many these days. Yeah, they're slightly different patterns, and they're not strictly male versus female, but somehow male tend to have flatter tone. Um, they're not going to go as high in pitch as women,
Mm-hmm.
because women are trying to be very friendly and apologize for everything they do. So that's a cultural thing, and they're trying to impress people more than men.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's that. So yeah, I would advise to go with your gender.
Mm-hmm. Also, language-wise, like lexics-wise, it's a bit different. Yeah, we tend to say certain things. Women tend to say certain things. Like in terms of vocab, sometimes it could be different. I remember we discussed, we studied gender linguistics at university. Can you believe that? And we
Oh,
talked about
absolutely.
the difference.
Gender studies is a thing.
Yeah, it's a thing, okay? And I was like, wow, talk about something new, because I was so very much into language at that time. I thought that I could like bury myself in books, and in YouTube or movies or whatever, which is we're going to talk about right now, because I think it's time to talk about shadowing and techniques. For example, another Anastasia asks, what exercises and techniques can you recommend for working on pronunciation for the sake of making it at least neutral? You see, it's still there, it's still demand. And
Yeah.
also, one more thing. Why English? Oh, no, it's a different one. Okay, let's start with this one. Exercises and some tricks, techniques something that you can think off the top of your head.
Okay, so first off, minimal pairs, right? That's, I think, obvious. Just make the difference. Try to make the difference between that and that, right? Sheep and ship.
Mhm.
If you can't hear the difference, you're not going to make it. So try that. I think when at some point I realized that, okay, I'm going to be an accent coach because I know phonetics. I sound nearly native, but I was not sure that it was native enough. So I hired someone, and I realized, no, it's not even close. I have to study. And one of the things I was doing all the time, I found this book, Lisa Moisen, Mastering the American Accent, and there are a lot of minimal pairs. I was doing that every day. Yeah, not with every sound though, but the ooh was still difficult for me. I think
Mhm.
ooh, something like that. I would just protrude my lips, even flare them maybe. Ooh. That's not a sound of English, right? Maybe back in the day they would have something like ooh, but not anymore. It's fronted. The lips are not protruding at all. You're making a tight circle with your lips. Ooh. So I was doing that. My lips would hurt.
Oh yeah.
I was doing a lot of it. Yeah, if it hurts, don't do like just stop cold turkey.
It's
If it
interesting.
hurts, do
At
that.
school, we're told that if it hurts, it means you're working hard.
Uh, I don't like that. I mean, you're responsible for your own face and muscles. I don't know what you're gonna do with it. If it hurts, what's really happening?
You know,
Are you overdoing it? I am not sure. So just don't do that.
like they say "peras para dastra" in Latin. You know, like yeah, like just do this. Через тебя
Don't
не
kill yourself, okay?
But you're talking about choosing a specific good textbook, which focuses exactly on, in this case, General American with word patterns. Yeah, with
Yeah,
this is for
okay.
practice,
Yeah,
right?
Lisa Moisen, Mastering the American Accent, the black book. The second edition is black. I think you can find the first edition online, and it's blue-ish, blue and red. Find that book. It's actually it's good for minimal pairs out there. There are a lot of examples. There are a lot of phrases. Uh, she doesn't really talk about the nature of the Russian accent.
Mm-hmm.
There is an appendix with some tips for specific source languages, but it's really not much. But the materials are great. The minimal pairs, the examples, yeah, why
That's what
not?
I like about this one
Fun.
because I also, apart from shadowing, which we're going to talk about right now,
Yeah.
I also did a lot of not a lot at that time, not that much as I imagine now. Theory. I was trying to understand how sounds work in words, word pairs, then sentences for practice. We had that section. Also, American accent training, that book. Remember, a good
Of
one.
course, of
And also
course.
paragraphs. That's what I liked because when I was a linguistics, no, I did teacher education. So my first degree is teacher education. And what we did was, of course, we were worshiping this Arakian book. Have you heard of Arakian? All right.
And,
Her face contorts.
okay, that's a great book. I think that was groundbreaking back in the day when it was written. And can you remind me when it was written?
Well, in 1970 something.
I think that was what do you call it? Oh my God, I lost the word.
Which one? Because we're
Uh,
words.
when you issue a book again, not reprint, but
Edition? What?
it was yeah, it was not the first edition in the 70s. Yeah, I think it was like the 60s even. And the Arakin, do you know when Arakin was born?
I know because first of all, I don't know the exact date, but it was like in 1920 something. Okay, because he, I mean, what I'm trying to say is, even my director of our institute for cross-cultural communication, she was one of his students. So she told us stories. But the point is, yeah, Rakin was the nightmare of my student days. One of our college days.
1904.
Yeah, yeah. But the
I
point was, what I'm trying to say is, of course, at that time it was groundbreaking. We had this Iron Curtain going on, but what I didn't like about this book already at that time, 10 years ago, is that we usually had words for practice, not sentences for practice or paragraphs for practice with the same sounds or intonation patterns. So what we would do is, for example, we studied the sound I, as in bit, fit, yeah? And it would be like bit, fit, sit, did. And I'm like, okay, I mastered this one. How do I use it in a sentence? And when we start using it, like when we start speaking, it all comes crashing down, you know? And also the audios for that book, come on, you can hear something burning in those audios, you know, like, so it also stood in the way, you know, of understanding. So already at that time, I was quite suspicious of the tools. And I was like, so probably I need to find something different, you know? But the silver lining was that I was having a lot of friends to talk to online. We Skyped, we ICQ'd, you know, and they helped me. I was like, Dana, you're going to be my teacher tonight, you know? I'm going to read out the words. Please correct me, you know, as much as you can. And that's what we'll do, a lot of drilling, you know? And that's where I think I got my passion from, because when she started saying, oh, close, very close, you're there. I'm like, yay, you know, I was feeling a bit of a bond being forged with her. Yeah, had Arakin 25 years ago, of course. Arakin is still there, still worshipped. AF, okay?
Yeah, I mean, he's great, but he's outdated.
Dude,
People don't speak with that accent anymore, right? The
I
tips
have
outdated.
you know? Yeah, right. Because I didn't get it. It's high time to have a bite, you know? That's what they taught us. What a kettle of fish. Well, again, I have a hugest bone to pick with Arakin, and nobody will ever dissuade me that it's the best book. And, you know, some teachers at uni say there's nothing better than the Arakin book. You know, you have to teach with it. You just don't know your way around it. That's bullshit, if you ask me. Oh my God, I don't remember us listening to something in the lessons at uni, one of the followers says. But again, that's the only issue I had, phonetics-wise, word pairs. That's it. You see, what I like about mastering the American accent and American accent training is that they will like literally, you know, lead you down that path with all of those intricacies of phonetics, you know? And then I felt confident and I started oozing it and I started teaching it, you know? Okay.
Yeah, of course, you need a lot of real examples, not just individual words.
Right.
But you have to start with something. You start small, right? You start, okay, bit, beat. You have to know the difference. And then, yes, if you're persistent, you can go further and try to use it in a sentence, try to use it in a paragraph. In Listen Motion, there are paragraphs with where the target sound occurs many, many times. And maybe a pair of sounds that you're trying to differentiate. Right, so that's great. Also, shadowing, right? We have to talk about shadowing. I don't, the thing is, shadowing is pretty popular among students, but a lot of people don't know how to use it. So my tips, how to do shadowing. First off, start small. Take one sentence or one and a half, right? To the max. Don't take too many.
Right.
And don't just try to repeat it cold turkey. Try, I said it again, right?
It's
I say but that's a filler. That's just how I talk. Anyway.
That's how we all talk. There's nothing wrong with you knows. By the way, before you continue, for those who are thinking like, oh, they're using too many you knows, you know what? When you're like that, like when I was at uni, I was a good student. When there's this lull in the conversation, it's wrong. Our teachers would say it's called коммуникативное самоубийство. When you go silent for a second, in English, it's a no-no. You better say something like, let me think. Those what the fillers are for. It does not mean that we're ill-educated. Because in Russian, it's okay to be silent when you're thinking. In English, no. All right?
Yeah. gain that floor, hold on to it.
Yeah, exactly. So going back to that one, so
Yeah.
you mentioned take a small portion.
Yeah. Take a small portion, break it down. You have to know exactly what you're trying to repeat. It's not just like, oh, I'm just going to listen so many times and it's going to just, I'm going to be fluent just because I listened. No, you have to know the phonetic phenomena that occurs in that exact excerpt. And then mark it, right, with whatever you take a pen, whatever system you use, make it clear for yourself which sound is where.
Mm-hmm.
If some concept is still unfamiliar to you, go back, right? If you don't know how to make a flap T, don't try to make it while shadowing. It's not going to work for you like that. So go back, do those flap T's, do those, I don't know, you're trying to study how to connect he and he is with the year. You probably hear that in your shadowing excerpt. Practice that beforehand, then you when you shadow, you know how to do it, right? You mark all that down, then you repeat it a few times on your own,
Right.
and then you start shadowing
Mm-hmm.
when you know what you're doing. And also feedback is essential, because sometimes we don't know what we're doing wrong. Even a teacher needs a teacher, right? Let alone
Me, I asked you, like, please tell me what's, I can hear some slip ups. Tell me that. So that's what you did. By the way, it's okay. Let's talk about some of my flaws. You mentioned that when you were listening to my speech, you noticed that sometimes something can slip up, like in words very, you said, yeah? It could be
yeah.
like, can you talk about this one? Can you give us like this micro masterclass with the word very and explain why it's different from transcriptions?
It's different just because it is different. just so.
It's that simple.
Yeah, it's just it's a tradition. Let's just say that this is how we all agreed to mark that sound.
Mm.
For some reason, there is a difference between British and American transcription, but the sound difference is not that big. When you say very, you need to think of the square diphthong. So when you say square, air, right? Or air with the word air, like airline,
Mhm.
aircraft, air. Um, and now you try to implement that air into your very,
Mhm.
right? So it's not very, it's very,
Right.
very, very. Right? And one more thing, there is such thing as Mary, Mary, Mary merger. Have you
Yeah.
guys heard? So that's the American thing. Um, in most places in the U.S., except I think Boston. I guess in Boston they have a distinction between all three of those.
Mm-hmm.
Or they make a distinction between a pair of those, since another one is going to be the same. One is gonna match one of those words, but most Americans are gonna pronounce Mary like the name, Mary like Merry Christmas,
Mm-hmm.
Happy, and Mary the like to get married. Uh, they're homophones. They're pronounced exactly the same, and that's easier for us. We don't have to struggle with the difference between those three. Yeah, and that's why I'm saying that, because the word very, Very, and very like Vary are gonna sound the same.
Exactly. And that's why
And,
I said, look, am I correct? So all of these words that I typed have the same air sound. Very.
yeah, and I would add one more, fairy, like fairy tale, and fairy like the boat.
Mm-hmm.
They're homophones too in American English.
Yeah, that's interesting. That was like
Fairy,
revelation to me.
fairy, like fairy, the the dish soap.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Americans don't have fairy, by the way. They have different brands. They don't have this European stuff. Yeah, but fairy, like we know this brand fairy, and we tend to say fairy,
Yeah,
like fairy.
fair. Yeah, like that.
It's
Something.
wrong. It's fairy.
Yeah, so yeah, in British English, it might be different. Like the word vary with an Vary and very with an V-E-R-Y, but in American English, mostly, they are the same, right? So that was the interesting things.
Yeah, for the most part, they're the same. Yeah, there are places where you will hear the difference, but as a non-native speaker, I would not stress out about that. If you end up in Boston, you'll learn that, right? If you don't go there, like why bother? If
Hmm.
you're not a phonetician and if you're not interested
Or
in
if you're an aficionado of English like me, that for some reason needs it, because I believe that it's important for a teacher, since we are the native speakers of the classroom when we teach English, yeah? We need to make sure that our students are learning the sounds that they can also master well. And we can be this example, we can be this role model, you know?
Yeah, you guys are examples for your students if you teach English.
Exactly, exactly. So going back to shadowing, we had a very similar question to the one that's we are discussing. What if, okay, so you like start, I will try to like encapsulate it, okay? So if you start shadowing, you have this one sentence, and then you're trying to make sure that everything looks great, you graph the sounds, and you still don't have a teacher or anybody to help to graph it. What do you do then? If you can't have a teacher or don't have a teacher right now, can you play it by ear and just like, I mean, is it possible for someone who doesn't know their theory to still nail it when they shadow?
That's rare. I know
Mm-hmm.
some people who can do that. Okay, there is this great channel, Rachel's English.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
And you can learn there for free, right? Because there are a lot of free videos out there where she shows you how to graph it, right? She shows you she has her own system of
Mm-hmm.
text, uh, but whatever works for you. I tend to write, for example, flap. I'm not going to write flap with the D letter because I know the difference, and we do have the R sound in
Right.
Russian.
Right.
We don't need that. We don't need the D to understand what it is, right? So yeah. Anyway, Rachel's
By the
English.
way, speaking of which, one of the questions is when people say beautiful, I hear the R sound. Why? Flap T, right?
The flap T, yeah, it's not the R, it's r, 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 r. It reminds you the R because we do have the R in Russian, right? Somehow they merge in our head, but it's the R. Beautiful,
Yeah.
beautiful. It's
Yeah.
beautiful,
Mm-hmm.
right? If it were beautiful, sounds odd, bizarre, beautiful, beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Water, right?
Mm-hmm.
Better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's a matter of taking baby steps. Would you agree? Just
Absolutely.
think one by one, yeah, thing by thing. Take it easy. Don't rush. Don't expect any panaceas or silver bullets. There is no panacea for sounding. Because one of the questions I got was, guys, please talk about how to get fluent ASAP. I was like, are you for real? Are you like taking the piss out of me? You know?
Like that.
It took me more than a decade, to wrap my head around English generally and start speaking the way I'm speaking. And I know that there's so much to learn. From today's live stream, I've learned so much already. So, I mean, it's a learning curve, right?
Absolutely. And also, like, fluent, what is fluent for you? What's your goal? What do you want to do
Mm-hmm.
in English? Do you want to take an exam? Right? You have to maybe pass an exam, which is a different thing, right? Maybe you want to apply for a job and pass an interview. That's going to be, there are two different tasks,
Yeah.
right? If you're short in time, try to just practice exact thing that you need. Like interview, hire a teacher, and talk about the lexicon you're going to need in your field, what might come up during the interview. Do that, right? Otherwise, just practice.
Just speak it. Keep
Yeah.
yeah, keep speaking, keep practicing. By the way, do you still do shadowing?
Sometimes I do just to give it to my students.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, for myself, rarely, because I'm focused on something else. You know, I could do that for Instagram, for example, as a piece of content.
Right.
But I'm not interested in mastering the American accent anymore because I think I'm kind of sort of already there, and I can focus on a different task, right? How to teach it to other people.
Right. Right. For sure. You know what? I'm going to be very quick with my story about shadowing. I went overboard when I was just starting out. What I did was, at that time, nobody told me that you have to like segment it, that you have to make sure that you don't like overwork it or underwork it. So what I did was, I chose one of my favorite TV series, and then I thought, I take an episode, 40 minutes. I would spend like 2, 3 days transcribing each and every line first, just to make sure I'm tuning my ear to, those actors, to the accents. I had no idea that they spoke different varieties of English at that time. It was like what, back in 2008, we had CD discs, right? So, and then I would just let it marinate a little bit, both here and on paper, come back to it, watch the same episode, fill in the gaps, with the subtitles on, like, oh, I got it wrong, I didn't get it, but I was already pretty good at it. Then I would let it marinate again. I don't know where I got this from. I had this like mind map. The next day, I would sit down with the same like portion of the episode, the one that I loved, and I would choose a male actor because I kind of understood that we should kind of click in terms of speech, sounds, yeah, pitch. So what I would do was I started copying all of those lines from subs, trying to make sure that I segment each and every word into sounds and pronounce it over and over again until I was happy with it. So I went nuts over it, like in the good sense of the word. And I would like spend a month on one episode trying to make sure that I sound good, that I understand pretty good. And when I watch the same episode for the fifth time in a month, I was like, I already understood a lot of this. I was like, wow, I remember what he's gonna say. I remember how he's gonna say it. So it just got piled up over the years. I chose different TV series, different YouTube interviews. Yeah, when YouTube hit the big time, and I realized that I started speaking at least closer to the way I am, and I was. And only then did I come across the American accent training book and everything. And I was like, wow. So there is this theory behind it, like
Yeah,
how,
yeah. The
how did I?
problem, the only problem with the American accent training book, you stress accent here, is that it's not consistent. The
Mhm.
transcription is not consistent. That's a big problem. And as a linguist, I cry when I see this because she's gonna transcribe the same phenomenon with
Yeah,
different
yeah,
characters.
I know. One of the pitfalls for sure, and
Yeah,
drawbacks. Guys are asking what my TV series was. I'm kind of ashamed to say because at that time we didn't have much of a variety. And
because it's Sex and the City, no?
no,
Friends.
no, no, not cliche. At that it was like 2008, 2009, and there was this show, and then vampires they were like very big, all over the world. So that was the Vampire Diaries, because of again that because it was popular, because the language was amazing, and the sounds are beautiful, the actresses are beautiful, everyone is beautiful, and I was like, wow, I want to be, this kind of confident, seductive Damon. I want to be that, courageous, I don't know, Stefan or whatever that was. You see, so yeah, but that's where I understood that you just take it easy, stay and wait for it. But you know what? One of the things that I really tried to instill in myself was the confidence that I can do it. I had no shadow of a doubt that I wouldn't be able to do it. Nobody could stop me. I was like, I'm getting to be American. I'm going to be American. I had this kind of
That's great.
obsession,
Great.
and my American friends helped me. They said, Stan, of course you're not American, but you're getting there. I'm still getting there.
I mean, you're not going to become American.
Right, right,
You're already Russian. What are you
right.
going to do about it?
But that thrive helped me to get where I am. You see, and then when I matured, I realized that, of course, you don't have to be someone else. Be your own Stan, but be someone who inspires, who teaches, who can be a class act. You see? So priorities changed, but it's helped me a lot. That's the
Yeah, both, right?
right.
You're not going to change your personality.
And by the way, one of the questions is,
Fire, right? That's why I don't like this term accent reduction and the term accent acquisition.
yeah, acquisition.
You're just getting more.
Right. You have to acquire it. It takes time. By the way, one of the questions was like, well, but it's too difficult to acquire an accent in English. You have to spend all the time doing it. You have to make English your life. And then I thought, listen,
Through that.
yeah, but still, don't you think that I don't know about you, but with me, English is not my life. English is in my life.
It's a part of your life.
Yeah, it's in my life. So I do the same mundane things everyone does, but via English. Yeah, I want to watch a movie, I watch it in English. I kill two birds. I want to talk, of course I do talk to Russians, but if I want to talk and practice, I talk to native speakers. I want to read a book, it's in English. I want to do whatever I do, it's in English. So this is where I don't have to find time for it.
Yeah, guilty as charged. I sometimes read in Russian.
Well, it's fine though. I mean, don't lose your identity, okay?
But I do read in English too. I mean, I'm bicultural, right? So yeah,
But again,
both.
should not we should understand that everything takes time. If you're watching this live to, get some sort of a silver bullet, yeah, panacea, no silver bullet. Sheer doggedness, unbridled passion, a lot of time, patience, yeah, goals
Yeah,
in
I mean,
mind.
you're gonna spend more time looking for that silver bullet than you know. Uh,
To kill that vampire.
fun, right? Learning English and learning accent and playing around.
Two more questions and we're done. One of the
Okay.
questions is, I think it's quite an interesting one. So listen out, guys. Also, guys, let us know what techniques you used. If you used shadowing, leave a plus. If it's new for you, leave a thumbs up or anything. So one of the questions comes from Lad. I think it's a question for you because you're the one who has lived in an English-speaking environment. So, Irene, here's the question. No doubt, languages are not only about pronunciation, lexis, and grammar. Is tuning or even fixing your mindset necessary if you want to sound truly American? What kind of thinking reveals our Russian self? Or any other things that Russians do?
I like that question.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, definitely there are things that reveals Russian personality. We're pushy.
Mm.
Uh, we're more pushy than Americans in personal communication. Uh, not in sales, though. In sales, Americans are way more pushy than Russians.
Mm.
It's horrible. Don't talk to salesmen; they're horrible. Um, we okay, so we're more reserved in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we don't like small talk. We don't have the culture of the small talk. And if you go to the United States, people are going to talk uh, to you, about what you look like, your clothes and your hair, your shoes, whatever. And most Russians just get freaked out
Mm.
when they come across that for the first time. I lived in a small town, Berkeley. It's like 300,000 people. They greet you in the morning.
Mm.
With if there are not too many people in the street, it's like early morning, 6 a.m. For example. I'm walking to the whatever my lectures, and people will say hello in the street. Um,
A complete stranger.
a complete stranger.
In Russia, that would be like, do I know you? Have we met? Are you?
Yeah, and you will think that there's something fishy going on,
Yeah,
right?
like, who are you? Yeah.
We assume that if people talk to you, they want something, and it might be something dangerous. In the U.S., you know, they just walk around and they're people. Why not talk to them? Also, I think when we want something, we get pushy, right? And Americans are super delicate, and there are ways to express your requests in English that differ.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you have to make a lead in before you say what you want.
Not give me that carton of milk, yeah?
Oh, that's horrible. I mean, no one talks like that. But even if it's like, if it's like that carton of milk that, there are no cartons, by the way. They sell milks in gallons,
Oh, yeah. Right, right.
like in plastic.
Yeah, yeah,
A gallon is like 4 liters, right?
yeah.
4 liters. Yeah. Anyway, what else? So, for example, I had a situation with my classmate when that's embarrassing to, to tell the story. Uh, so that classmate I was working with on our phonetics projects. That was before we actually started. We realized we were both interested in phonetics, but we were taking history of English class, and one of the assignments was. It was designed for native speakers, obviously, because you get like 100 of words, which any of those you obviously know how to pronounce, and you have to do something about the transcription. And you know, if your native speaker is going to take you whatever, 30 minutes maybe tops. If you're not native speaker, you're going to spend hours checking
Exactly.
every word.
Mm-hmm.
So the guy said, hey, that's going to be too hard for you and it's absolutely unnecessary, so let me help you with that. Let's just look how I did it, because
Mm-hmm.
you're not going to learn much from just automatically looking for the transcription. And next time we had a similar task, and my fault was to ask again. And I said, hey, you know, I'm doing it already. I'm doing my homework, and I just wanted to check when I'm done. Could I look at yours? And what he said was something. Oh, you know, I'm not sure I can do it. And that was, you know, that was a signal to back off.
Mm-hmm.
And I kept asking. I said, you know, maybe it's going to be convenient for you if, for example, in like an hour or so, I will pass by your place, take it, just glance at your homework and turn it back, give it back.
Yeah.
And said okay. He said okay, but that was a big no. Don't do that. So he said okay, and then in an hour he said, you know, I'm going to bed, and it was like 8 p.m.
But he still wouldn't say it straight to her face. Yeah, he kind of hinted.
No, he wouldn't say that.
Mm-hmm.
They don't, you know, they don't say face-threatening things in your face. They will. What I say, I have this expression in Russian, "затаить хамство."
Uh,
So he will remember that you're not, you know, he doesn't want to deal with you anymore.
sure.
So so usually he lived in Berkeley too, so we would take the same train, and I came to the train, you know, BART station, and he was not there, and I thought, oh, interesting, something's wrong. So maybe he's taking a different train, and you know, there are trains that they run every like 15 minutes, so it's weird not to take that train because we were
Mm-hmm.
in class. And then I met him there, and he was mad, and oh my God, uh, he was horrible. Actually, it was not an American thing to do what he did, but he was pretty straight with me when he said that I was not
Mm-hmm.
doing the thing. Yeah,
Oh,
so
what an interesting story. It even got me thinking I have to rewatch this part, one more time to kind of get my head around it better. So this is a cautionary tale for all of us that don't forget that language is not just about lexis and phonetics and anything. It's about culture too. You cannot transfer your cultural personality onto your language personality, because this is the biggest mistake. Right? This is the biggest mistake you'll make for sure. And by the way, the last question is very similar. Oh, before we do that, Tammy says, I was in Galveston, Texas, walking to work, and a lady passed by me with a dog, and I just couldn't help looking at the dog and smile because I missed mine a lot. And when she saw me smile, she said good morning to me. See? I mean, the other
Yeah.
person in Russia could say, why are you gawking? Yeah.
I mean, most people are not going to do that. They're just going to ignore you as if you're not there. Because I hate to say that, but somehow we think of other people as objects,
Mm-hmm.
right? We just have to go past and like not touch anyone, and that's the goal. In the U.S., people see people,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that's a really important concept. And I think when I realized that, it would get much easier for me to navigate.
But listen, I have a bit of a disagreement here. Since again, I haven't been to any English-speaking country, but I've met a lot of even Americans here in Belgrade. They live here, they work here, and when we talk, I kind of understand that they wouldn't tell you much. They would be like quite surfacey when it comes to conversation. In Russian, yeah, when we speak Russian, we're more open. We're like, we let our guard down when we start talking. Like even with you,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. There's this concept of coconut and apricot cultures.
Mhm.
Right? We are coconuts. We have a hard shell, but very soft and nice
Yeah,
inside.
right,
But you have to break through that hard shell. And the Western culture, the theories, I'm not saying that everyone is like that, but the
right.
theory, the apricot culture, they're soft and sweet on the surface, but when it comes to deeper conversation, you're going to hit the hard pit.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Or stone in British English. Yeah.
Or, yeah.
Wow, interesting. And last question, which coincides with this one. And you should smile all the time. So one of the questions was, is it true that this smile has something to do with the way they speak in America, as in like this askal, like you talk like that?
That you can be dead serious and speak with an American accent. Absolutely,
Like that.
it's not that, but it's just somehow I think the bottom line is that there is this basic politeness that you express not just through the words and intonation, but also through the facial expression. It's
Mm-hmm.
just impolite to talk to strangers without a smile. You
Mm-hmm.
just can't do that because people will think you're mad.
Or you're up to something. Yeah.
Yeah, so sometimes they don't smile, of course, but they're just trying to signal that they're friendly. They have nothing against you. That's why they
Mm-hmm.
smile. It's
Wow.
not because they're very happy to see you, right? It's not because
Not
they
necessarily.
like you so much. And in Russian, if people smile at you, they will mean that there's something, some emotion behind that, not just politeness.
Agreed. But
Yeah,
still,
actually, I had a course about that. We had it together with my friend and co-author, holistic linguistic. We are not running it anymore, but it was about that, American mindset
do you?
and how it's expressed through uh, the words in grammar, even through grammar. Right? For example, Americans use, and Brits too, they use past tense all the time in place of the present tense just to express politeness. Like
Mm-hmm.
in the U.S., you're going to hear, "Did you need a bag?"
Mm-hmm.
all the time. And it's like, did I need it when? Yesterday? What are you talking about? But that's just it's the politeness. Instead of do you need a bag, it sounds less direct.
Mm-hmm.
And the last thing, that's a funny thing. That's a Starbucks story from Russia. I visited Russia a few months ago, and I went to Starbucks because that's my working place worldwide. There is internet. There is free, like not free, but eternal supply of bad coffee. So great, nice place. I went there and I asked for one Americano. That was in Moscow,
Right.
and the guy said, "Это все для вас."
Mm-hmm.
What?
Like, are
What do
you?
you mean? Like that's a small Americano.
Yeah. Are you?
I'm not gonna share it with anyone. And then I realized that he translated for you. That's a hedger, right? It makes it less direct in English. Is it all for you?
Mm-hmm.
Right? This for you is just a hedger. It doesn't mean anything. But when you say it in Russian, it just makes sense.
Wow, what a
It looks like
beautiful.
they just directly translated the handbook from English to Russian, copying the exact formulas, which doesn't make sense at all.
Well, Russia is baffling to the mind, you know, so sometimes things happen here. Things that were not processed entirely, you know. But listen, this is such a cautionary tale. I mean, we do know about those cultural mistakes, but you exemplified. You showed us exactly what might work and not work. Well, at least in your neck of the woods, right? So I think that this is an interesting thing, and thank you for your question, Vlad. If you're watching this or watching it on demand, okay? Well, listen, I kind of thought that we would talk about like learning English only, but it took us places, which is amazing. So I might want to rename the live stream a little bit, you know, and add like culture too.
Yeah,
So
culture 101.
yeah, exactly. I'm gonna use this one because we talked about it too. Listen, Irina, I am so blessed to have talked to you. Like I mean it,
For
you
having
know.
me. It was amazing.
I am so inspired. I am so elated. I'm not even tired. Probably we did tire you with questions, but it's like, you know, I've been to a master class for free, guys. So make sure that you appreciate Irina coming to us here and you're leaving your comments, your ideas, your thoughts. You're welcome. Also, please make sure that you share it so more people can see how beautiful the conversation turned out to be. Okay, you see, I'm even speaking in rhymes right now. So I hope that this is not the last stream, actually. Maybe one day we'll do
I
something on
hope so too.
culture because I loved it to bits. Thank you so much. All right.
Thank I loved it too. It was great. And your English is impeccable, really.
Oh, shit.
I
Well, again, thanks to you. Again, I said it once and I'll say it again. Never in a million years did I let any other teachers, non-native speakers, kind of, you know, evaluate, estimate, or whatever you can call it, my English. But then I thought, I think she's the one who can do that. That's why I thought that this live stream is special. So make sure that if you have
especially now.
anything in mind, you have Irina, you have her channel, make sure you just talk it up with her. Okay. Alrighty, we're gonna call it today. Thank you so much, guys, for save the stream. Sure, we sure will. Thank you so much, guys, for joining in. There were more than 50 of you. I'm impressed because it was inappropriate, probably, but at the same time, thank you for your questions. The questions were amazing, right?
True that.
All
Yeah,
right.
it's very deep, very philosophical, some of those.
So heartfelt thanks to you, and I'll hope to see you next time. All right.
Thank you. Thank you so
Yeah.
much. Really great.
All
It was
right.
a
Goodbye, everyone. Bye, Irina. Bye,
bye.
bye. Bye.
Thanks for watching. Bye.
Bye.